imagine for a second, right, that you are standing, son succeeds not because he outdefended his dad, but because his dad left a specific attainable goal unachieved.
Oh, I like this angle.
Like, is there a case where a father's failure actually created a psychological advantage for the son?
Look at the Weah family. George Weah is absolute football royalty. He remains the only African player to ever win the Ballon d'Or, and he later became the president of Liberia.
A literal president. You can't make this up.
But because Liberia's national team rarely had the depth to qualify against massive global opponents, George Weah never played in a World Cup. It was the one missing piece in a legendary career.
I see. So his son, Timothy Weah, grows up with a completely different psychological landscape.
Precisely. Timothy represents the United States. When he went to Qatar in 2022 and scored a goal, he achieved the exact thing his father never could.
Because the mechanism is completely different from the Zidane's. When your father is Zinedine Zidane, the subconscious milestone is win the World Cup and be the greatest player on earth.
Which is an impossible mountain to climb.
Right. But for Timothy Weah, the milestone is simply step onto a World Cup pitch. It is still incredibly difficult, but it's a tangible, achievable milestone.
It turns the father's legacy from a suffocating shadow into a structured stepping stone. And George Weah was famously thrilled. There was no ego about it.
Just a father watching his son complete the family legacy. I love that. But, that generational handover makes me wonder about the broader systems at play here.
What do you mean?
Well, are these father-son success stories just isolated incidents of good genetics and sheer willpower? Or are national football programs actively banking on these bloodlines? Because if we look at the data from the 2026 World Cup, there is a statistical anomaly that feels almost entirely engineered. This is where it gets really interesting.
You are looking at the Norwegian national team.
Yes. 3 sons of 1994 World Cup players on the pitch at the exact same time. Erling Haaland, whose father is Alfinge, Christian Thorstvedt, son of Erik, the 94 goalkeeper, and Alexander Surlock, the son of Göran.
It is completely absurd.
It's like a Hollywood reboot. 32 years later, back in the United States, starring the original cast's kids. How does a single country produce 3 elite sons from the exact same generational cohort?
It seems like a wild coincidence, right? But when you look at the underlying mechanisms, it is the result of an industrialized talent pipeline. We are talking about compounding generational wealth and unprecedented access.
So it's not just good genes randomly striking 3 times.
Far from it. These sons were born into millions of dollars of footballing wealth. From the day they could walk, they had access to elite coaching, personalized nutritionists, private training facilities.
An intimate understanding of the extreme professionalism required.
Exactly. An average talented kid in Norway is fighting to get noticed by a scout at age 15. These legacy players are integrated into elite development ecosystems from toddlerhood.
That is a massive advantage.
They are taught how to handle media pressure, how to recover physically, and how to read the game long before their peers. By the time they're teenagers, the developmental gap between them and the average player is a canyon.
And the results are undeniable. Erling Haaland scored twice on his World Cup debut in 2026. His father played in the '94 tournament on the exact same soil, but never scored a single goal.
So Erling surpassed his father's entire World Cup tally in 90 minutes.
Unbelievable. But this kind of concentrated legacy, even if it's based on real cultivated talent, it has to cause issues in a locker room, right? Do the sources show managers pushing back against this?
We actually do see managers actively avoiding the psychological trap of the father-son dynamic. Diego Simeone is a prime example.
The Atletico Madrid manager.
Yes. As a legendary player himself, and now a highly successful manager, he famously stated he would never sign his own son, Giovanni, to his club.
Even though Giovanni is a highly successful, talented, professional striker in his own right.
Exactly.
I totally understand Simeone's perspective there. The subconscious pressure would be incredibly toxic to team chemistry.
Without a doubt.
If Giovanni starts a match, the other players naturally wonder if it's favoritism. If he gets benched, the media fabricates a massive family feud. Simeone protects the locker room and his son by keeping those worlds entirely separate.
It requires extreme boundary setting. But, as we dissect these family trees, there is a massive detail in the player background reports that fundamentally challenges our entire concept of how a super athlete is built.
Wait, what are we missing?
Well, we have spent this entire conversation analyzing the fathers, the tactical inheritance down the male line. But who are the mothers?
Oh, are we ignoring the most vital half of the genetic blueprint?
We really are. This is where the sports science data in the archives becomes truly illuminating. When the media talks about Erling Haaland, the focus is exclusively on his father, Elfinge.
Right, the midfield enforcer.
But the biomechanical experts attribute Haaland's freakish physical dominance to his mother, Gry-Marita Braut. She was a Norwegian national champion in the heptathlon.
The heptathlon, okay, for anyone unfamiliar, the heptathlon is 7 different grueling track and field events. Sprints, hurdles, high jump, shot put, long jump, javelin, and the 800-meter run.
It's insane.
It is the ultimate test of total athletic versatility. You need explosive power, extreme stamina, and flawless body mechanics.
And that is exactly what Haaland exhibits on the pitch. The fast-twitch muscle fibers required for his explosive sprinting speed, his leaping ability, his sheer kinetic power.
That doesn't come from a tough-tackling midfield father.
No, it is the direct biological inheritance of a national champion track athlete.
That completely flips the script on scouting. So what does this all mean? We obsess over the famous name on the back of the jersey. We obsess over the dad who played a few decent games in the 90s. And we completely ignore the mom who was literally engineered for explosive physical power.
And Haaland isn't an isolated case in these archives either. Take Leroy Sané, the incredibly agile German winger. His father played professional football, yes, but his mother is Regina Weber, who won an Olympic bronze medal in rhythmic gymnastics.
Rhythmic gymnastics?
Oh, wow. Which explains the mechanics of Sané's dribbling perfectly. Rhythmic gymnastics requires elite proprioception.
Meaning his body's subconscious ability to sense exactly where it is in space at any given moment, right?
Exactly. Proprioception, flawless balance, hyperflexibility, and complete body control while manipulating an external object.
That's fascinating.
Sané inherited his football intelligence and his understanding of positional play from his father. But his physical ability to weave through 3 defenders at a full sprint without losing his center of gravity, that is the biological gift of an Olympic gymnast.
It is literally a biomechanical mosaic. You are blending vastly different physical traits to create a completely unfair athletic advantage. Are there other examples in the data of this cross-sport pollination?
Many. Kasper Dolberg and Christian Eriksen, 2 massive talents for Denmark. Both come from families with deep roots in elite handball.
Which makes sense for Denmark. It's a huge sport there. But how does throwing a ball into a net translate to kicking one on a massive grass pitch?
Because handball is played in extremely tight, confined spaces, it forces the brain to develop lightning-fast reaction times, intense spatial awareness, and peripheral vision.
Oh, I see.
The cognitive processing speed required for elite hand-eye coordination under pressure translates beautifully into foot-eye coordination on a crowded football pitch. The brain is literally trained to find the microscopic gap in the defense instantly.
What about the United States? Does the American sports landscape feed into this phenomenon at all?
Look at Reyna. His father is Claudia Reyna, a legend of the U.S. men's national team. But his mother, Danielle Egan, was an elite footballer herself, who came from a family with high-level basketball roots.
And basketball is all about rapid transitions, court vision, understanding passing lanes, and manipulating spacing.
Precisely. So the ultimate formula isn't just having a dad with a World Cup medal. It's having a dad who understands professional football tactics, combined with a mom who went to the Olympics for gymnastics, or a family tree full of point guards and heptathletes.
We treat athletic greatness as a straight line down the male footballing side, but it's actually an intricate crossbreeding of different athletic disciplines.
It really forces us to entirely rethink how talent is manufactured. The blending of physical and cognitive traits from outside the sport often provides the edge that pure footballing genetics simply cannot.
When you look at all these elements together, the immense psychological burden, the compounding generational wealth, and this incredible multi-sport genetic mosaic, it paints a picture of intense, almost suffocating pressure to perform.
It does.
But reading the actual interviews with the fathers in these archives, there was a takeaway that genuinely surprised me.
You are referring to what the fathers actually want for their sons?
Yeah.
Because despite the media narratives, all the historical ghosts we talked about, and the constant fan comparisons, not a single one of these famous fathers expressed a desire for their son to be the next version of them.
Right. You don't see Peter Schmeichel or George Weah demanding a clone of themselves.
They know better than anyone that being the next someone else is a psychological trap. It is a race you can never, ever win. What they consistently express in the source interviews is a profound desire for their sons to build their own unique identities, to be the very first version of themselves.
And, whether You are listening to this as someone carrying a heavy expectation in a family business, an art form, or just a local sports league. That is the core truth of this deep dive.
Absolutely.
There is a heavy crown of expectation placed on your head by other people's memories, the ghosts of past successes. But the beautiful truth of the World Cup pitch is that the moment the referee blows the whistle, the surname on the back of the jersey completely fades.
It stops mattering who your dad is.
Exactly. The ball is at your feet, and your own chapter begins.
It is the ultimate meritocracy in that exact moment. You either make the pass or you don't. You read the defense or you don't. The ghost of your father cannot run the pitch for you.
Well said. Before we wrap up this deep dive into the archives, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
Given how devastatingly effective these multi-sport genetics are proving to be when we see the explosive offspring of heptathletes and Olympic gymnasts dominating the modern game, how long until the scouting networks catch on?
That is a great question.
Will the football clubs of tomorrow stop lurking around the youth academies of famous ex-footballers waiting for a clone, and instead start heavily scouting the children of Olympic track stars?
If the future of the game belongs to the supreme athlete with diverse biomechanical traits, the traditional footballing family tree might just need some entirely new branches.
So the next time you see a young player step out of the tunnel wearing a heavy, famous name, feeling the weight of decades of expectations, remember the historical ghosts they are running alongside. But also remember, they might just have a genetic secret weapon waiting to be unleashed. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.